Hello and greetings to you. It's good to know that you're there. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your compliments. Thank you for liking, for sharing, and also following us. You've been gaining value. Thank you so much. Please also send or share these videos to others. Now, we already started on trace minerals. We started with minerals generally. We talked about those minerals that are required in large quantity in the body. Now, what we talked about was we started now with trace elements or minerals, in which case we started with iron. Now, calling them trace mineral does not mean that they are not important. It only even means that they are required in a very small amount to have a very huge impact. Now, let me say this, let me preempt myself. Now, we already started with historical part last, and today we'll be looking at the sources. Now, to tell you this about the importance of trace minerals, when we get to the functions of dietary zinc, you're going to see that its function is quite much more than some others like we've done previously. Now, I want you to look forward to that time. Now, we already started with the historical part, a brief run through it. We said that by the 20th century, zinc was already known and established to be very important in human nutrition. Particularly from the 1930s, we discovered that zinc was very good for the growth of fungi. Particularly, you see that with yeast, and yeast is very rich also in zinc. Now, by the 1960s, they discovered that children in the Asian part, particularly the Middle East, where bread were unleavened. You remember yeast is used to leaven bread and those confectionaries to make them rise. Where they eat mostly unleavened bread, children tend to grow stunted and maturity usually delayed. Now that speaks to the importance of zinc. Dietary zinc is very important, helping early maturity and good growth. Now, without much ado, we'll go into the sources of dietary zinc. Now, in that other place, just a minute, we talked about other hints of zinc that is found in almost of the parts of the body. Other minerals or trace minerals are found usually in the liver, but you have zinc found especially in the bones. Very, very crucial. And in the blood, it's found especially in the erythrocytes, which are the red blood cells, talking about its importance in the transport of oxygen and the others. Now, look at the sources. Having seen or having a clue of the importance of zinc, in which case we're still going to know more. Where can you find zinc in food that we eat? Now, just like others, most others will find zinc, dietary zinc, in both plant sources and animal sources. Now, dietary zinc is found in both the plant-based food items and the animal-based food items. However, the animal-based food items have more bioavailable zinc than the plant sources. Why? Because the plant sources have zinc usually trapped in by a particular substance in them called phytate or phytic acid. You may call it phytate or phytic acid. Now, what it does is this. Phytic acid, first of all, is the rich form or the form in which phosphorus, another very important mineral, is found. So phosphorus is usually found or trapped in phytic acid. Phytic acid exists mostly in seeds and nuts and legumes and grains. All these are plant sources: seed, nut, legumes, and grains. They are also rich in phytic acid. This phytic acid or phytate has a way of binding and making unavailable zinc. So it binds with zinc, binds with iron, binds with calcium, Fe, binds with calcium and binds with magnesium. So that's what phytic acid does. Phytate. It binds with them, forming a complex, in which case it makes them not bioavailable. Now, when we talk about something being bioavailable in science or nutrition, it means that making something available for the body to utilize. It has been made available. So if it is not bioavailable, it is made in such a way that it's either bound or has some anti-nutritional factor that makes them not available. But when they are bioavailable, it means that they are easily accessible and in fact absorbable, digestible, absorbable. In this case, with minerals, we talk about absorption. Now, having done this, so animal sources, like I've explained, instead against plant sources, are usually more bioavailable and then utilizable. Now, sometimes understand there is difference between something then being absorbed and also being utilized, converted to the nutrients that another parts where nutrients that the body needs in other parts of the body. Now, what are the rich sources of zinc? Now, let's go deep into it. Number one, when we talk about the animal sources which are more bioavailable, you talk about the meats in terms of the pork, beef, mutton, which is the meat of sheep, or you have chivon, the meat of goat. The meat of goat is called chivon, the meat of sheep or lamb is called mutton. Then you also have it in liver, animal liver. You also have in poultry meat, chicken, turkey, geese, quail. You have in fish, you also have in shellfish, for example, you have the oysters, and you have zinc available in eggs. Then going straight to the plant sources. Now from these sources, if you eat these particular sources of food, these food items, you get zinc in them. Now in the plant sources, you have, like we talked about, the nuts, grains, legumes, and nuts, seeds, legumes, and grains. So you have them. However, like I said previously, they are usually bound in what is called with phytic acid. Phytic acid, which is written as phytate, binds them. Now, what happens? Now, in other seeds, you have pumpkins and sesame seeds. What happens then that some of these phytic acid, or sometimes if people eat it, like some vegetarians or others, people who don't eat meat and others, how can they get zinc? Yes, they can get this, and sometimes they can get them in number 3 category, which is called the fortified food. In this case, synthetic, not natural zinc is actually incorporated in the food item being produced in the factories or from the factories. So when you have your breakfast cereals, sometimes some people put in taking your oats or your golden morn and the others, sorry for that, you add some dietary milk and the others. Those dietary milk, you have them, some of them fortified with minerals. Some of the minerals, yes, you have them. You take the nutritional facts of some of your food that you eat, the cans or those ones. You look at them, you see the incorporated with vitamins and minerals. Now you can have zinc incorporated in them. So what is now locked up in phytic acid sometimes you can get the synthetic one. Now, having said this, and having seen that bioavailability of phytic acid, of zinc, and some other nutrients are actually restricted by this complex phytic acid, what are the things that one can do to ensure that he gets or maximize this in the body? Now, I want to put that as a question to you. What do you think can be done? Now, let me tell you, what do you think can be done to make phytic acid release these nutrients, this and this? Because biochemically, they're actually bound by bonds. So what can make them available? Now let me give you a clue. One of them is cooking. So when you cook them, you cook your nuts, your legumes, and this, it breaks the bonds. So the heat breaks the bonds. So making some of these things available. So want to give me two other means by which we'll have the phytic acid bond binding to zinc, making them unavailable. What can you do to make them available? Now that is, let's call it an assignment. Let's see the next class. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and if you've enjoyed and you gained value, please share, like, subscribe.